2 weeks in, about 2 weeks to go. It's all been happening, isn't it? We've had everything. We've had mountains, we've had flat bits of road, we've had beautiful harbours, we've had Monaco Grand Prix, Cannes Film Festival, we've had rain, we've had very hot. And now we're back in the mountains, and there's loads more to come. So keep watching. Well, so here we are, Here I am in the Pyrenees, foothills of the Pyrenees, at a place called Montferrier. Nearest town, Lavelanet. Nearest big place, Foix. And I suppose I'm about 2 hours, 2.5 hours north by bike to the Mediterranean. It's a place called Argelès-sur-Mer, which is where I'm going next. Sort of a recap on the trip so far. Quite arduous, I would say. The Alps were, well, the Alps were the Alps. I mean, let's face it, there's a big range of mountains, and some of the roads that I were on were interesting, to say the very least. Very steep. Weather, as you saw from the previous videos, was not great on the Alps. You know, it varied. I did have temperatures of 24, 25, but I also had temperatures of 4 degrees. So that was interesting. My concerns about the bike, you know, I had a few issues. They've been sorted. They weren't major, but it was a bit of a worry at the time. But that's now rectified. I think a couple of things to emphasize: if you're traveling outside of your own country, then obviously very useful to kind of know where you could get a servicing for a particular make, model of vehicle, bike, call it whatever you will. In my case, you know, a good number of dealerships in France, a lot more than what there are in the UK, a lot more. Big dealerships, which, you know, come in really handy. Regarding things like the vignette, which is a little sticker to put in your bike to get you through some of the big cities, to say that you are compliant with emissions control, similar to what we have in the UK. You know, people have said to me, oh, I won't be going into a city, I don't need them. Well, you know, you may not be planning to go into a city, but in my case, and I did have the sticker, and it's for the lifetime of the vehicle, by the way, so it's €4 for the lifetime of a vehicle. It then turned out to be rather prudent to have it, because if you go into a city and you haven't got that, you could be fined on the spot by the local police, gendarmerie in this case. So that was well worth having. So yeah, backup plans are always handy, and I think, you know, if you go blindly off and not considering an issue, then you may have an issue. And so it's been very useful for me on this trip to have to put plans and sort of, you know, saved locations into action when it actually came down to having an issue. And as you saw in previous videos, the staff at the Montpellier Indian dealership were incredible. So yeah, so I move on now from one set of mountains, the Alps, having visited Monaco, Nice, Cannes, both Cannes and Monaco during big festivals, you know, Cannes Film Festival and Monaco Grand Prix, pre-Grand Prix anyway. It was fantastic to see all the action of people putting everything together. Now kind of means a bit more when you see it on the television. You get an idea of what goes into setting up such a huge event and how the city cope with it, with the influx of people. And yeah, playground of the rich and famous, but also accessible for others. I thought it was incredible. You know, I was allowed to more or less go where I wanted to, and in fact I did stop and ask a policeman, in fact 2 policemen I asked for information, which I spoke to them in French, and both occasions they spoke back to me perfect English to explain that I was quite, you know, welcome to enjoy the day, travel around the circuit, and so that was also fantastic. So yeah, big events in France, they seem to do them, you know, extremely well, and of course they do them year after year, and those are 2 of the biggest events in the south of France. And talking of events, I probably better not go much further without mentioning this big bike festival that's coming up in Cornwall, the Southwest Bike Festival, which is being put on by a friend of mine called Stuart Quinney. And before he unloads loads of stuff about the fact that I was responsible for this festival, I sowed a seed. Stuart said to me some time ago that it would be a good idea. He said to me quite a while ago that he was going to America to join in a big bike festival where they were going to have something in the region of, I don't know, 700 plus motorcycles, Indian motorcycles, and do a ride out. And just looking at the expense of doing all that and going across to America, I've been over there and I know it does cost. Sometimes it's out of reach to some people, but it's expensive. I suggested that maybe you should do the same thing in the UK, and he could then come up with the UK 700, which for various reasons unfortunately couldn't go ahead. But now this year he is actually putting this festival on. It's at the Royal Cornwall Showground in Cornwall, near a place called Wadebridge, and it's very accessible. It's going to be a good event. He's got some dealerships on there. Not you know. The trouble with putting a festival on is that very often a lot of the big organisations will sit on the fence for the first year or two to see how things go before they jump in, realising it's an excellent opportunity to promote their bikes or promote whatever. And I suppose I'm a bit guilty of that as well, because as you know, I do have the biker range of mustards that we sell, but on this occasion, because it means me switching labels, I've decided not to go with it. However, I will be attending the festival. And of course, the fact that there's not a lot of dealers there, although there's more and more coming online as we speak. I know BMW are going to be there, and I know the Royal Enfields are going to be there. You know, two great lines of bikes, well worth seeing. And don't forget that everybody's going to be there on their bikes, and so if you want to see a bike, where better to go on a bike festival? So he's putting on lots of music, lots of things. There are going to be, you know, stalls and food, and there's bars. And so, yeah, I highly recommend that if you're in the area or you fancy a break, a long weekend break, have a look at his website. I'm going to put some details up here in a minute, and you can come down and join Stuart and the crew and have yourself a really good festival. So that's something to look forward to when I get back into the UK. Bike festival. You know, when COVID came, a lot of them were postponed, or some of them just fizzled out. But I know that's going to be a big one. So yeah, I'll see you down there. And anybody wants to come and talk to me about travelling abroad, certainly travelling through France, through the Alps, through the Pyrenees, I'd be happy to you know, pass on my thoughts, my experiences. Yeah, always happy to do that. And you know, travelling abroad really on your bike is not much more difficult than travelling at home. Probably a bit less traffic, although I seem to have encountered quite a bit this time. Although I've been to places where you'd expect to find traffic, particularly city centres like, you know, Nice, Cannes, Monaco. You'd expect to see traffic. As we creep up into the Pyrenees now, traffic will get less and less. Scenery gets better and better, and I think you'll see over the next few days some of the videos are really enticing. And as I say, if you want to talk to me about any aspect of travel, France and Spain in particular, then tap me up at the festival, come and talk to me, and Stuart will point you in my direction. And yeah, so we'll have a good time down there as well. So yeah, I'll keep these videos running for the next couple of weeks. I'm still away for the next couple of weeks, and then yeah, next stop I suppose can be the bike festival. So we'll catch you there, if not before.